I'm Matt Towery for InsiderAdvantage, the Internet News Agency, and the Southern Political Report.
And I'm Aileen Page.
And we have a hot contest. Aileen, it's looking now like Florida is going to decide this whole thing for the country. It looks like neck and neck down there. Why don't you give the latest numbers? InsiderAdvantage survey taken on Wednesday evening. These are Thursday numbers. Of course, we'll have Friday numbers as well to update as well later in the day on Friday, but let's give those numbers.
Matt, you are so right. It is really heating up, and these numbers reflect it. We polled 501 people. McCain came out with 23% of the vote, and Romney just 1 point behind with 22%. So they truly are neck and neck, and with a margin of error of approximately 4%, it really could be anybody's race at this point.
Right.
Giuliani is in third with 18%, Huckabee a little bit lower even with 16%, and then of course the rest are trailing, and there's an undecided of about 10%. So this is a huge race. It's really heating up. Tell us, Matt, which way do you think this is going to go?
I don't know, but we saw some trends last night. Some of the trends were the following. McCain is on television with a pretty good ad. He only has $1 million buy, so he's got to get more money to sustain that over the weekend, but that ad is working. He's doing extraordinarily well with the 65 and older crowd. Many of those people may have already voted, but a lot of them have not, because we're polling people who have already voted in early voting as well as those who are likely to vote. So this is, I think, probably the most accurate polling standard you can use in Florida.
Can I ask you a quick question
Sure.
about that? With regard to the early voting, one would think that obviously Giuliani's presence in Florida, to the exclusion of all the other states, because he hasn't been anywhere else,
Right.
would capture some of those early votes. But then again, wouldn't that already be reflected in his numbers, essentially?
Well, interestingly enough, when we did the initial poll that asked that question, Giuliani was doing better, but he was not in the position where he should have been, which is with a substantial lead, you would think.
Right.
For whatever reason, Rudy Giuliani just hasn't caught on down there.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I don't have an answer. I mean, I think part of it is that he's not viewed as being as conservative as the conservative crowd in the northern part of the state are not wild about him. When you get to that I-4 corridor that runs from Tampa across to the other side of the state through Orlando, that's an area where a moderate would do pretty well, but we think McCain's doing well in that area. And then on the coast that you get down below, the Space Coast as we call it, you have military folks and others. McCain's probably doing pretty well there. You get to the other side of the state, the southwestern side of the state, that's an extremely conservative area. So I think what's happening is the conservatives are dividing up among themselves, the various candidates. Some are going to Romney, some are going to various candidates. Then you have the more moderate candidates, which are Giuliani and McCain, and it looks like right now McCain, because he's had those wins, has simply become, in the framework of the thing, more important. And they're just sort of discounting Giuliani at this point.
Let me ask you this. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this is a closed primary, meaning that
correct.
only registered Republicans can vote.
That is correct.
Now, given that fact, will it end up hurting McCain? Will he have less independent voters to pull from? Because isn't it true that the independent voters are what really pushed him over the top in both South Carolina and New Hampshire?
Well, he's doing well among independent voters. There's a confusion, and I'm glad you asked that question. There's a confusion among people about what is an independent voter. There are two types of independent voters. There are about 2 million voters in Florida who are registered as independent voters. But there are also Republicans who consider themselves independent. And it's a fairly substantial number. Those are people who might drift because they feel like they don't like either the conservative side or liberal side or whatever. So there are independents voting in this, and that is helping John McCain as well. They view themselves as, quote, independent, and they're gravitating towards McCain. This thing is far from over. They have a debate tonight. Floridians watch their debates. They take them very serious. If you remember the last time, Rudy Huck. I'm getting everybody mixed up now. I've been doing this Florida stuff for so long.
Well, because they're all so close. You're not used to it.
Well, Huckabee won the YouTube debate. We were the ones who told him that he won the YouTube
That's right.
debate. And the next day, his polling numbers went through the roof. So anything could happen tonight that could change things tomorrow. This is just going to be a really big battle. And let me say one thing. Think about this. Recount. If this thing ends up being really close, do not doubt for a moment that Romney or McCain might ask for a recount. In fact, it might be mandated under Florida law.
Hanging
Keep that in
chads.
mind.
No.
We don't have that anymore. We have electronic, but we could have all kinds of other issues, and there would certainly be some battles down there. I know these guys. I know them, and I know how they operate. And no one's going to give up Florida and lose this election.
But this is a big debate for them. It's the last debate before the primary, so they all better bring their A game tonight, right, Matt?
You got it. Last thing we want to talk about in Florida, they've got an amendment down there. The Wall Street Journal is watching it very closely. Other papers are watching it closely. We were able to provide them numbers. These are InsiderAdvantage polling numbers. They were taken for InsiderAdvantage majority opinion just last night in Florida with 600 plus respondents, plus or minus margin of error of only 3%. The amendment, which deals with tax assessments in Florida, right now is winning with 57%. 30% say they're voting against it. 13% say they're undecided. Among those who have already voted, it is winning at 62%. Why is that important? Because if you're below 60% under Florida law, it does not pass. If you are above 60%, it does. Too close to call. That's where that amendment is right now, and a lot of people are watching it because what happens there affects a lot of other states where they're talking about dealing with property tax issues as well. So with that,
should we just shoot our Democratic numbers?
Yeah, let's
really
give
quick?
the number out of South Carolina.
We got some nice fresh numbers really quick. 420 people polled. Obama at 42%, Clinton at 28%, and Edwards actually creeping up a little bit at 21%. The remainder are undecided. So that's our latest for South Carolina.
Yeah, the big thing there is that Edwards is pulling white vote away from Clinton. Clinton cannot win South Carolina. That thing is going to go to Obama. But the big fight now is going to be over Florida. People are going to be looking at who wins Florida, and we'll be polling that, because even though the delegates don't count, you can't discount one of the 4 or 5 largest states in the nation and get away with it.
Yeah,
so,
this is going to be huge.
Yeah. All right. So for InsiderAdvantage, Internet News Agency and Southern Political Report, I'm Matt Towery.
I'm Aileen Page.
And we will be back tomorrow probably with updates and through the weekend, and we'll have live streaming video coverage. Should be pretty short, hopefully, for the Saturday night for the South Carolina Democratic primary. We'll be on at 6:30 to project the winner. I could probably project the winner right now, but why not give you the suspense and excitement of watching one of our live, real-time streaming videos, because after all, it is a flying circus. This is the internet.
It is. It truly is. So you got to tune in. And thanks for watching.
All right, take care.